Hi everyone, I am Lloyd Arzamala, so we'll be discussing to you about the responding to emergencies. Preparing to respond. Make sure you have an easy access to items that will help you respond to an emergency. And keep a first aid kit in your home and vehicle and ensure that you know the location of the first aid kit and automatic external defibrillation in your workplace. So here is the first aid kit should include at least the following supplies. Next, we have to preparing for emergencies at home. The first one, we have to keep important information about yourself and your family in handy place. Include the address, the everyone's date of birth, the healthy card numbers, medical condition, the allergies, and so on. The second one, we have emergency hotline. So post the number of the police, the fire department, the emergency medical services, and the poison control center near every phone in your home and save this number in your mobile phones. And the last one is review and practice the first aid skills that you need learned so that you will have the confidence and knowledge to respond in an emergency. So moving forward for signs of an emergency, we have 4 signs of emergency, such as the unusual sound, the sights, the odors, and behaviors. So when you say unusual sounds, that must include the screaming, the moaning, the shouting, or calls for help. And when you say unusual sights, is a stopped vehicle on the roadside or a car that has run off of the road, and a person who suddenly collapses or lying motionless. When we say also an unusual odors, it is the smell of smoke, the smell of gas, or a foul or unusually strong chemical odor. And when you say also have unusual behaviors, this must include a confusion in a person who is normally alert or unusual drowsiness, and also have a personality or mode changes. Next, we have here recognizing that an emergency exists, and it will sometimes be obvious that an emergency exists. For example, a scream or a cry for a help, an unpleasant or unusual odor, or the sights of someone bleeding severely or lying motionless on the ground are all clear indication that immediate action is needed. But other times, the sign of an emergency may be more subtle, such as the slight change in a person or normal appearance or behavior or unusual silence. Willingness to act. Sometimes people don't want to get involved in an emergency. So we have the 4 most common reasons are, the first, we have the bystander effect. So if there are people at the scene, it is easy to think that they can take care of emergency without your help. So however, you should never assume that someone has taken action and is providing first aid just because you see a lot of people. Remember that there are many important jobs you can do. You can help control the crowd, direct the action of the bystander, or you can call 911 or provide care to the ill or injured person. So if you are unsure of what to do, ask others at the scene in how you can help. The second one, we have the unpleasant injuries or illnesses. So some people may feel faint, upset, and vomiting or invisible injuries. So if this happened to you, close your eyes or turn away for a moment and take a few deep breaths to calm yourself before you deal with the situation. If you're still unable to give care, you can volunteer to help in other ways, such as by calling 911 and bringing the necessary equipment and supplies to the scene. So the third common reason we have is catching a disease. So you might be concerned that performing first aid will put you at risk of infection, but there are many ways to reduce this risk. If you can take simple precaution to limit contact with the ill or injured person, such as wearing gloves or using a CPR breathing carrier, you can limit the possibility of catching a disease. Remember that the EMS or what we call this a 911 personnel provide care for ill and injured people every day without incident. The last common reason is doing for something wrong or causing more harm. You might be afraid that you will be sued if you make a mistake. As long as you act reasonably, you don't need feel to worry. All provinces and terrorists have laws to protect bystanders who give emergency help. And getting trained in the first aid can give you confidence, knowledge, and skills you need to respond appropriately to an emergency. Use your good judgment and stay within the realm of the skills in which you are trained. Once you start giving the first aid, keep providing help until the 911 personnel arrive. So if you can ensure what you do, you can call EMS or 991 and the following EMS dispatcher's instruction. So the most harmful thing you can do is to do nothing at all. Again, thinking about these things now and mentally preparing yourself for an emergency will help you overcome your fears. Thank you so much for listening.